We are back with another Q&A Day Wednesday, and because we did miss last week, we're going to answer two questions this week. The first one comes from Crank That Romo 5, and he says, "Hey Mr. Smith, I have a question for you. I play a lot of leagues, and in one league I have Chris Johnson, and he seems to fumble a lot. Which attribute should I build up? Strength or ball carry or fight for extra yards? Or am I just doomed because of his size?" And our second question comes from Gerald Tillis, who asks how to create a scheme from a playbook with QB runs and a spread attack, and what audibles are important in Madden 13. So to answer the first question about Chris Johnson, let me first say that Chris Johnson's a beast in this game. Obviously, he's got 99 speed, 98 acceleration, and 96 agility. Absolutely love that. I've used the Titans many times, and I love using Chris Johnson. The reality is, though, he does fumble a little bit more, and that's just one of those Madden things where, sometimes you have quarterbacks with great ratings, great throw power, accuracy, but they just don't get the job done. They get a lot of overthrows, they miss a lot of passes. It's just one of those Madden things, and, even though Chris Johnson has 86 carry, he definitely does fumble the ball a good amount of time. I would say more so than you would expect from someone with 86 carry. Now, the first thing I want to say is he does have 65 strength, but that's not going to matter when it comes to fumbling the ball, and neither will fight for yards. Those are two things you're not going to want to upgrade. You definitely want to go with carry, because if you're going to upgrade strength, first of all, you're at 65, and when you think about the points that you're allowed to use on a player, wasting it on something that is only a 65, it's going to take you a long time to get it built up. So to me, I consider that a waste. What I like to do when it comes to connected careers and being able to, get your players better, is I like to go for the ratings that are half decent, but you can make them extremely good. And with 86 carry, you could definitely up this quite a bit. Hopefully get it to 99 by the end of Season 2, and you should be good to go. I really, if like a trucking rating, there's no reason to even worry about this. It's at a 53. You would be spending a lot of money to try to just get one rating up. So definitely start with the ratings that are a little bit higher and go from there. Besides, the question that you're asking about with carry, this is definitely the thing that you want to get up to avoid fumbles. So I hope that helps, and good luck. So now to answer Gerald's question, we're going to take a look at the Carolina playbook, and the formation is called Spread Y Slot. This is a spread offense that has QB runs, such as the QB draw and the read option like you're talking about. So we're going to create an offense using this formation, and the reason we're going to go with this formation is because I looked, and it has not been covered anywhere that I've seen yet. At least on YouTube or anything like that. So that's one obstacle that we always have to face, is anyone covered something, because we don't want to be doing the same thing twice. So the audibles we're going to look at, you mentioned also what audibles are important. Now, halfback draw and PA tight end wheel are both formation audibles within this formation. So I could take your question many different ways as to, what audibles are important. So I'm just going to look at it in this direction, which is it's important to make sure that you're not using any audibles that are also in your formation audibles. It allows you to have a more diverse offense. You can have more plays and things like that. So when we set up our audibles, we're going to use Panther Curls. We're going to use QB draw, read option. We are going to use halfback slip screen and Panther Y seam. So that's giving us 5 audibles right there, and then of course 7 if you include the halfback draw and PA tight end wheel. So these are definitely things that we're going to look at. So I'm just going to go over very quickly a couple ways that I like to run these plays. Read option is self-explanatory. You can find anywhere on YouTube how to run that. QB draw is also self-explanatory. I might run that a couple times though. And we're just basically going to look, and also halfback slip screen is also self-explanatory. So we're going to look at Panther Y seam, we're going to look at Panther Curls, and PA tight end wheel. So the first play we're going to look at is a play called, Panther Curls. The setup for this is either X on just an out route, or a smart routed out route, A on a fade, and B on a drag. If they have one safety deep, then I like to put A on a streak, but we're going to put him on a fade route. And we can do whatever we want with the running back. We can put him on a wheel route. And another thing I like to do, which isn't done that often, is running back on an out route. That can be very effective depending on what your opponent's doing. So let's just put him back to his default. I like a little bit of blocking sometimes. So the first route we're going to look at is the Y route. Now, I did a video earlier in the year. I think it was the first video I did with a play called Texan Dig out of the Houston Texans playbook. This is the exact same route, and I didn't know that it existed in the playbook, or sorry, in Madden, other than that Houston book until I tried to answer your question. I did actually look for it in other books because I found it to be really effective, but I couldn't find it. And now it makes sense because Carolina is a book that I avoided because everyone was running this book, so I just stayed away from it. So here we go. All we're going to do is wait until he gets right about there, and we're just going to throw a bullet pass. And he's going to beat that corner like that every single time, especially when it's off coverage defense. You just wait, and as you can see, the corner acts stupid. We'll take a look at the replay real quick, and we're just able to get a completion against man defense every time. See right here, he jumps back and the corner is playing way off him and doesn't know what to do. Now the same thing works against bump and run coverage, not to worry. We're just going to wait until he gets off the bump, and we're going to throw it like that. Now in practice mode it's a little bit different. Sometimes the bumps will act a little weird, but even when we get a good bump, all we do is wait, and as you can see right there, he kills the cornerback. Now this is going to work against, in the other video people were saying, oh, it's just a bum corner. It works against Darrelle Revis, I promise you. It doesn't matter who is in this spot. As you can see right there, it looks like he's covered, but we know it's man-to-man defense, so it doesn't matter. We're going to throw that route when it's man-to-man every single time, and we're going to kill our opponent. So I think the fade route is self-explanatory. I think the drag route is self-explanatory. And the out route, if you're not sure about smart routed out routes and stuff like that, we basically smart route an out route versus man defense. We wait until he gets right about there, and we throw it, and it's easy as pie. So we're going to take a look at it against off coverage, or should I say zone defense. Now, it can be against any zone. Doesn't have to be off coverage. But when it is off coverage, we definitely know that we're going to be able to hit this regular out route. Now, I've not covered, and I'm not going to cover the drag route or this fade route over here on the right side of the screen. Gerald, I imagine that you've seen my videos before. I've covered these, how to throw these fade routes, so I'm sure you've got it. So again, against any zone coverage, if we smart route our out route, it's going to give us problems. Once we read that it's zone, it's pretty much going to take this out route away. Like, there's no way that we're going to be able to throw it. But if we just run a regular out route, take a look at what happens. Now look at the separation that we get. Let's go and look at the replay. And the reason we're going to get this great separation is once our quarterback gets the ball in his hands, we're making a cut immediately. And because the slot defender must check that slot receiver there for the most part, depending on the type of coverage, it's going to allow us to just get to the outside immediately, and we're going to be wide open. Whereas if we did a smart routed out route and we were looking to see whether it was going to be man or zone defense, watch, he checks him, and then he's got the time to go back and make a play, and my controller just fell. Just 1 second. Okay, so this is a first. This is definitely a first. So let's go and take a look at the replay. Hate them vibrating controllers, man. It shakes across. Anyway, so he checks the slot receiver, and then by the time we go to make a play, he just jumps up and almost picks it. So this is why, whether it's man or zone defense, we're going to want to put him on a regular out route. And the reason we're going to do this is because if it's zone, we're going to hit X, but if it's man, we've got that man beater in Y. So on that side of the field, we're good. Then we've got this, and we've got a drag against any type of defense, like, say, is there a cover 2 sync in there? No, there's not. But it could be, actually, you know what? Let's go to a cover 4. I see it right here. So let them do the same. And it's going to work the same against cover 4. He still must check that slot receiver, no matter if he's in a purple, yellow, blue, anything like that. So he's got to check them, and then we hit that out route immediately. So definitely two good routes that we have for man or zone defense. Even if it's man defense, like say a cover 1 with off coverage, we're still going to be able to hit this X route. So that's how we're going to run Panther Curls. And now we're going to move on to the next play. Now we're going to look at PA tight end wheel, and I absolutely love this play because of the 2 slot wheel routes. They do a really good job against man or zone defense. But taking a closer look, take a look at the A wheel on the right side of the field and see how he cuts up field around the 31-yard line. And the Y route cuts up field around the 34-yard line. So to the naked eye, it doesn't really look like anything. It looks like these are identical routes. But of course, looking closer, we see that they are different. And, you know, that makes all the difference in the world. So because of that, I definitely prefer the wheel on the left side. You know, we can flip the play and stuff like that whenever we want. But, and we can still take advantage of A, but I more prefer to take advantage of A against zone and leave Y for man or zone. So to throw Y, we're just going to wait till he cuts up field. We're going to pass lead, and as you can see, we get a good 5 yards of separation, leaving it impossible for our opponent to be able to click on and make a play. So against man defense, there's absolutely nothing our opponent is going to be able to do. The other thing I want to focus on are these 2 outside routes, X and B. Both of them are unbumpable. Now, they're not the greatest routes in the world. Normally, I like to smart route B to give them more of an inside angle so that we can pass lead that route. But let's just take a look. I'm not going to do anything here. I just want you to see that both of these routes are unbumpable by looking at the replay. Anytime we have unbumpable routes, it's definitely a good thing. So as you can see on both sides of the field, neither guy is getting touched at the line of scrimmage, and that can definitely be a big factor. So the better the route running your receivers are, the better you're going to have success by throwing these particular routes. Carolina is a terrible example. They're never going to get separation for the most part because they don't have good route running. But if you're like most people and you use San Francisco every single time, then you know you're going to have good route running with some of those guys. Or Green Bay, of course, has great route running as well. Now, when it comes to setting this play up, I love to leave the left side of the field as is because, as I mentioned, I like the Y route against man or zone, and I like the X route as kind of like a little bailout. But we can do a lot to the right side of the field. Mostly, I like to put RB on a streak. We can then put A on a drag, and we can smart route an out route for B. Or we can put B on a drag, A on a whip, and leave the streak. We can put RB on a wheel, but of course, if we're going to put RB on a wheel, we don't want to do it when we have a whip route because that's kind of counterproductive, right? They're going to run into each other, and it's not going to leave somebody open. So in this case, we can put A on a streak. If they're going to show blitz, then we can just lob up a streak to the slot guy. So lots of different things that we can do to the right side of the field while maintaining our very effective route combination on the left side, or just the fact that the wheel is extremely effective against man or zone. So running a spread offense is not easy. Normally I focus on things that anybody can use. That's the whole purpose of this YouTube channel, is the new players, the players that struggle, finding plays for them that you know, are easy to run so that they can get better at the game and maybe understand the game a little better. This, on the other hand, is tough. You're going to have to be able to make really good reads, determine whether it's man or zone immediately, because in a spread offense, you're going to face some heavy blitzing, which means you're going to have to make decisions a lot quicker, which means, of course, it's going to be a lot tougher on you. So having a mobile quarterback is something you're going to need. Of course, obviously, we're running read option and QB draw, so that's a given. But for the most part, try to stand in the pocket and just make your quick reads. And these routes on the right side of the field, you're going to have to do a good job of mixing these up so that your opponent can't just be like, okay, so I'm going to play 2-man under, and he always does this, so I'm going to put a yellow here, and I'm going to put this DT and a purple here, and then just make it so that you're going to be in a cage and not be able to do anything. So mix these routes up as much as you can. You know, there's lots of things that you can do. We can put A on a fade, of course. You know, we love that. Another thing I like is actually a running back on an out route out of the backfield is something that's pretty effective. So that's it for the most part. What I want to do now, though, is I want to show against zone defense what these wheels can do. So as I mentioned, these slot wheel routes do a really good job against zone coverage. So we're just going to stand back in the pocket. We're going to be patient. And as you can see, against zone, he's definitely going to get open at some point. I think that was a cover 3. Now we're going to do it against a cover 4 defense. Same thing, just sit back in the pocket, be patient, and you're going to notice that the wheel route is going to do a good job of getting open. So whether it's man or zone, the wheel is definitely a great option unless they user it. If they're using it, that's when changing our routes up on the right side of the field, like I mentioned, are going to do a good job. If they're focusing on that Y route, I mean, there's so much that we can do with this side of the field, right? Just so many things. Now, let's see here. I'm going to do man defense, and I'm going to show blitz, because I just kind of want to talk about, let's get this guy here, let's say, just out of the equation, okay? We want to throw streak routes, and we just want to basically lob them up when we see a show blitz defense like this, unless, of course, they're using that area of the field. So we just lob it up, and it's really going to leave them no chance. So many times you try to make a play on that ball, you try to get your defender to jump, and he's just not going to. So just put him on a streak anytime they show blitz, and as long as they're not defending it, we're just going to lob it up for an easy catch. So the final play we're going to take a look at is called Panther Y seam. And the reason I like this play is because we're running things that are a little more complicated, I guess you could say, or not complicated, but harder to run. You got to make, really good reads. I want to go back to basics, and here we've got 2 seam routes that we can pass lead at any point to pick up some good yardage, either between zones or even against man coverage, or if they're showing blitz or they don't really have anybody deep, we can lob up to either streak. Also, we got the 2 outside routes, which are not really slant routes. As you can see, one is more of a deep slant, and the other one, X, I have no idea what to call that, but they're both at different depths of the field, and they both go across the middle. So a lot of the time we're attacking the outside, if you haven't noticed. So here we're going to go and we're going to attack the inside of the field. So really at any point you're just kind of making reads. You sit back with your quarterback. You just take a look. We're able to hit this guy over the middle of the field. We do it again. We see that the seam route here gets open. You pass lead that. Now I happen to miss it, but you get the idea. We just kind of sit back. We can even wait for this block and release to get open, pick up a few yards. It's just really back to basics, something that I really wanted to throw in there. If you're struggling, this is a good play that we can use. So that's it. I hope I definitely answered the question. I didn't really plan on showing a full scheme today, but in order to answer that question, that's what I had to show. So I hope you have success with it. Like I said, it's not usually the type of stuff that I show, but I did anyway. So thanks, guys. Don't forget to leave your questions for next week in the comments, and I'll see you next time.